Dane County Sheriff's Office shared this photo of Bart and Krista Halderson, instead spending today interviewing neighbors. There are too many unanswered questions.
On July 2nd, 2021, Dan Croninger drove over to the home of Bart and Krista Halderson in Windsor, Wisconsin, after Krista didn't show up for work.
How unusual was it for, number one, for Krista not to show up for work, not to call, and just not show up? How unusual?
Extremely unusual.
Dan, a coworker and close friend of Krista's, arrived at the Halderson home, knocked on the door, and peered through the window. Then, Dan says, he walked over to the garage window.
I looked in, both cars were there. I was like, why are both cars here? And I was starting to go around the back of the house, and then Chandler came out the side door, and he came out in a towel, saying, oh, I just got out of the shower, you know, hey, what's going on? I was like, oh, we're just looking for Bart and Krista. And he said, oh yeah, they had to go up north this morning for an emergency up at the cabin.
Dan says he was relieved to hear that Bart and Krista were up at their family cabin for 4th of July weekend. But Krista didn't show up for work on Monday or Tuesday, which he thought was weird. And by Wednesday, July 7th, Dan pushed Chandler to file a missing person report.
So now it's all out concern.
Right.
You know something's happened to her now.
Right.
Chandler filed a missing person report on Wednesday, July 7th. And the very next day, his brother Mitchell and his fiancée drove 3 hours to northern Wisconsin to see if they could find any signs of their parents. Langlade County deputies met them there. When they got inside the cabin, it was dark. There was no sign of Bart and Krista Halderson. They checked the shed, and their canoe was there. It became obvious that no one had been there for a very long time. As authorities looked into Bart and Krista's mysterious disappearance, Chandler went door to door in his neighborhood asking if anyone had seen his parents.
At that point, what do we really have? We don't know what we have.
Then, investigators received a tip they desperately needed from the owner of a farm outside of town.
We received information from someone that, yes, Chandler had been out to my property over 4th of July weekend, and I saw him coming from the wood line. His car was parked, backed up to the field. So of course, right from that interview, we want to go search that property.
On Thursday, July 8th, 2021, police announced that the remains of an adult male had been found on a farm 20 miles from Bart and Krista Halderson's home.
The grass had been matted down, and they followed it to a trail which led to the discovery of a male torso that was concealed with sticks and twigs.
That was really the moment, right?
It was huge.
Police turned their full attention to Chandler. He was now a person of interest and the prime suspect in his parents' disappearance. While tests were being done to confirm the victim's identity, police arrested Chandler and charged him with lying to them. Krista's cousin, Barbie Townsend, couldn't believe the news.
What did you think? They arrested him for giving false information about a missing person.
That was the first day that I started to suspect foul play from their own son.
2 days after the discovery, the victim was identified as Bart Halderson. But questions remained. Where was Krista? As investigators compiled evidence against Chandler for the murder of his father, they asked his girlfriend, Catherine Kat Melander, if they could search through her phone.
She actually consented to a download of her phone.
So that was a breakthrough.
Because Kat believed Chandler had cheated on her before, she had convinced him a while ago to let her track his movements using Snapchat.
And that was an agreement that, yes, you will have your locations on so I can see where you're going.
On July 3rd, Kat noticed her boyfriend's avatar, named Hubby, on her screen about 25 miles from home.
It was a Snapchat screenshot of Chandler, almost 9 in the morning, out by the Wisconsin River.
And how long was he here?
45 minutes, I believe. Just keep in mind in July, but it's definitely far thicker than what you're seeing here now.
Search teams scoured the area, and after hours of searching, they discovered human remains. DNA tests confirmed it was in fact Krista Halderson.
You couldn't write this. It just wasn't anything that you could possibly come up with in your head.
How do you make sense of it?
We don't. And that's the hard part. We don't have a why.